All right, so I'm gonna do a quick run through on just going into rCloud. Whether or not who has issues with it currently? Because if not, like it will go into the recording so other people can watch it. But is anyone having issues with like accessing and downloading it onto your computer? That's that. Okay. And I'm just gonna run through it. I prefer going back and forth between using the two. I think if some of you guys have just university or if you have like two others, I think sometimes it just makes sense to like toggle between them if one feels really slow, because it is essentially a server on your computer and can take a lot of weight when, especially like the night before critique and everyone's on it, like doing renderings and stuff. So just logging into it. And is anyone looking into purchasing the Adobe Suite?
I was telling my mentees maybe wait till like soft.
No, I know. Just it's essentially just you pay with the student plan $20 a month to get Adobe Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop. There's like a
Everything.
ton of other ones, like literally everything except for stock, which I just found out. But
$20 a month that you have to pay for an entire year.
Yeah.
If you try and cancel it, they're going to make you.
Oh,
pay
really?
for
Yeah.
the entire-
and then after the
Yeah.
first year goes up to $30.
Yeah, it sucks.
And I have been paying it since my freshman year. But
Same.
either works, but at a certain point, rCloud does become a little bit tricky, and it will sometimes, like, you just have to be really careful about like it crashing or it just going a little bit slow. Constantly save your work, Command or Control S, like you just got to do that all the time just in case anything happens. Also, just a fair warning to always back up your work onto a hard drive or a flash drive or even Google Drive, anything, because there was another incident like last year, I think, where everything erased from rCloud. Very tragic for many. And so just a good reminder that even if you're working on your computer yourself, like I've had issues too in my own desktop, it's just always good to back up and make sure you're not losing things, because that would be awful. So for those of you, you guys are familiar with using rCloud, as you mentioned. Is everyone able to see their local disk, like these two options here when you're using it, like able to kind of pull in from your own desktop? What's up?
I'm not able to see that.
Okay. You want to hop over and see what? Are you in rCloud currently?
I used rCloud the last week,
Okay, and so
but I wasn't able to see my local drives or anything.
okay,
They did fix some stuff today, so it might be there when you
okay,
open
we'll
it,
see.
but
Yeah.
I
Wait, so
was
is that
saying-
like if I put like this in my computer, it's still registered?
Exactly. So if I had a flash drive in right now, it would notice it. But if I go to like my local disk now, I think it's so for me, it's the H on Grace's MacBook Pro. And then I can go to desktop and then I can see these things that are on my actual computer itself. So this is pretty useful, especially if you're not using a USB that just goes into it. I can see essentially, so you can see like desktop items, desktop screenshots. Those are all things that I have on my actual computer itself. So it is possible to toggle back and forth between those things. This is just in that folder icon. I think, is it just called Finder? It should just open right when you get in there.
Where would I actually see? Where would I find, like, so I have my hard drive.
So I do know there was something on some reason, like, see, like, one showing up, so you can take a look.
I hate our clothes. I didn't even try.
I think it was after the first project. What's up?
A lot of people, yeah, like when they put the USB drive in, a lot of them, it doesn't show up on.
Does this show up at least your local disk?
If it doesn't show up in the side menu, if you scroll down, click this PC at the top.
Yeah.
And then it'll be.
I just don't even know where.
Which one would it be then?
It's not even fully like my computer is like, it's like really full. Oh, I only have 11 gigabytes left.
Yeah, a lot of them don't have U-Drive. I was thinking of sending an email to MediaTek and being like, half the students don't have U-Drive and they can't do their class size.
So where are you guys saving your information if you don't have a U-Drive?
What?
Where are you, have you started an InDesign file yet or no? Because I know some groups have some.
No.
It's the type of computer it is.
Literally like a Windows based. because that's what those apps are built on.
I mean, I have a Windows.
Yeah. so
Okay.
those are usually
Awesome,
pretty
thank
good. She has an Alienware, which is also really good. That's a gaming laptop.
When it's.
Did we ever find a fix for
some of
like
my friends
Macs
just switch.
using
Basically,
rCloud and not
she's a-
having access to an alt file?
Grace was gonna talk about.
Okay.
Yeah, we can talk about that. It's the
I have a Windows option. It looks similar to that.
all the options are the same. And then essentially,
I care about
there used to be a drive
I've changed
in
it.
there.
I don't know what it is.
Like, I have it as like a personal drive, you see all your stuff too, and it's more personal than I think like the local ones, and then you have other discs that.
It'll be okay.
Here, find everyone. Obviously, you kind of want your stuff to be your own personal drive.
Okay, yeah.
So when that goes up, you know, that's kind of place to go.
Because this
And then
makes
there's
it
still
so
other
like the
options, like
hard
you
Yeah.
can save it just on your local disk, and then you'll be able to just see what your
on
actual
the
so.
laptop.
So
That
And then
underscore
underscore, and then your last name
hard
is the
drive.
And then
first.
the third option, I
Or
would say,
plug
is save
I
it
don't know.
on your
USB drive,
access,
not a hard drive.
whatever. Save. Also.
I do not understand how the administrators let this happen.
Or a flash drive, just to make sure, especially like during the editing process, and I feel like I get all these things when I'm uploading things.
Yeah, it's flash this time.
I think they like kind of.
I don't understand how, like, everyone knows about the freshman professors know about the flash drive issue, right? Like,
I mean, entire row does. I don't know
Yeah,
what-
we're like all,
I
I
don't
think it
know.
like works as
I
all
actually- I would
separate
think so.
users under one.
so
computer.
then you'd think they'd make it okay to do a Google Slides if they can't, like, actually save and submit their work. And then we could do this when people can actually use it.
Very true.
We can keep going with this.
Okay, so that's just kind of running through the different drives. As I was mentioning earlier to some of you guys, the U drive is your go-to. Just remember that. Hopefully it'll appear at some point. Clearly it has to be something between John O'Keefe or MediaTek to make sure that appears. Do you have the U drive on the sidebar, or is it not showing up for you either?
He had, his USB was showing up.
Okay, then that's good. Clearly that's like ahead of whatever everyone else has.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think I would say the safest bet is to do it, to save it onto your local disk, right? Or
Yeah, I would say,
Lapshare.
I usually say you drive or USB, but.
But if they
those are-
don't have those, yeah,
Yeah.
then your local disk, which will go onto your actual computer. And if you're worried about that, which I would be worried about that, put it onto your USB as well, and just have it, your USB in. Well, I guess if it doesn't show up. Other option is having it into Lapshare or uploading it to Google Drive,
There was
just to
one-
make sure that like as you're working on stuff, like it's somewhere.
There was one person today I told him to do lab share because I was like,
Yeah, I mean,
I know it's not.
So,
this.
Labshare, as I was saying, is everyone's stuff is in here. Hopefully it's an issue, like as long as everyone like respects other people's space and nothing gets deleted. But obviously there's a fear of like sharing an entire platform with like the entire university, so. But this one doesn't have a ton of stuff in here, so maybe make your own folder if you want to, and then just save your stuff on there.
Make a fake name even.
Make a fake name. Be anonymous, and then you won't get hacked. I'm just kidding, it'll be fun. So I think we'll hand it over and just start doing the actual InDesign.
Cool.
I'm gonna stop screen sharing. She's gonna open it up on her actual computer. You guys can all have the template document in InDesign. You have access to that. Okay, perfect.
You guys are
Good.
good?
All right, so go ahead and, yeah, that's the point. We're gonna start from basics, start from scratch. Have you started your file at all? Or not?
No.
I got-
You open
Yeah.
So this is my garlic clove presentation from last year. This is the basics of what we're going to be going over. This is the same template that all of you have, right?
I might want to mention how to open it on through rCloud.
Just like the whole semester, except for like, when we had that lecture, so I installed everything, that's fine.
Just a quick note for everybody, so, this might sound confusing.
Do you want it
hopefully
back?
it's not. So if you're on rCloud.
Give it back.
you guys can
Okay,
go-
okay.
I'm getting so confused with like all this stuff open on my computer.
You can have it back.
On rCloud, so you want to go to Chrome through rCloud, and then you can open up Bridges and download the INPD, which is the InDesign file, through there. and then that'll open it on the rCloud.
Okay.
But if you don't open it, like if you just search Chrome in your regular browser, it's not gonna download it. I don't know if that kind of makes sense, but.
I'm just gonna run through it
You had my
again.
tutorial earlier. Did that?
So, yeah, so you're on our. We're just going to download the.
How was the meeting?
Have a template of where it is.
Have someone like, that's what I asked them.
Ah.
That's what
We good to go to maybe start, no?
Everyone, okay, I'm also going through the process on my computer just in case anyone needs to watch.
Alright, so what's the, are you trying to open the InDesign? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Wait, what do you
I
do?
open registration. Yeah. So go back to registration.
I'm on it. I'm already-
Alright, everyone, so here's a note, so you're gonna, when you're on rCloud, go into the search button and then type Chrome through there.
So my USB isn't showing any of
You can word that after, we happen to a lot of people.
No, like I put them in and then or just a file that's not supported. So whatever file that like big thing.
How are you
is,
doing
it
in the back
doesn't
over there?
support on my computer
It's
or
like-
my hard drive.
Okay, so
Updating something.
this is.
Okay, that's fine. You're, it always does that. I'm not stressed.
Just the escape.
It always does that. I only use it because I obviously have a Mac and I can't use Lumion on my computer, so I have to use it.
How does that work?
I haven't
Like,
used Lumion since my senior year
Really? What do you use to render?
to render. Illustrator. It's a lot of fun.
I'm trying to learn it.
I'm gonna make that.
I'm trying to learn D5 because it's free, and it also you can get like a fuck ton of plants on it
Lumion's also free, isn't it? For a PC?
for students. Like it's gonna run out. I don't know if it's recording me. Might be recording her. Oh, it is recording me. I'll stop swearing. I'm sorry. Bad college habit right there.
Okay, this
If
is
you're
me
trying to
faking,
find it, it's under digital resources and it's the bottom one. I just want to make a note for everyone online. It's the bottom one that
Liv, how's it going back there? Good? Are you gonna be able to do it by yourself next time?
Oh,
Let us know. Let us
You
know.
can also probably crop the recording to when we start doing
Probably
InDesign
can do
because
that.
this is just
Yeah.
I just double tap.
I might like make a note. Yeah. I thought it would be good.
So
Yeah.
does everyone have
I could.
the file open in rCloud and InDesign?
And I'm trying to make it more general, like.
Do the two of you over here have the file open in InDesign?
No.
No.
Can you help her do it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She said.
I'm just checking where everyone's at. So we're waiting on this.
There's only 7 people, but it feels like there's like 30. That would be really good. I'm kind of glad it's open.
Am I not allowed to say recording?
What'd you do?
Oh,
So
wait.
Oh, there you go.
I got called.
What time?
Yeah.
I thought they look great. Wait, that's from today? Are your socks wet? Oh, they're not. Oh, they're bad.
It happens. It's like
Where's your car parked?
with this part.
Yeah.
It's like located. Like I
There's
can
no
get on
flooding.
and I made it.
There was so much flooding on the street. It
I
was
just don't
depressing.
I've never seen that. I really more sellers over at flooding. I got the like spirit. I remember coming home from work one day and the highway was even put in the third.
Yeah.
Cars were the roads were dying.
I kept looking out the window to make sure my car wasn't, because it was like, even though it's on the hill, all these leaves were like trapped. And my tire was like going underwater. I was like, should I move? Yeah.
All right. Can we like kind of wrap up and go first so Emily can, like, are we all?
Yeah, and then I just
Okay, cool. I think you're good, Emily.
Okay.
handing it back.
Okay, so is this what everyone's base screen basically looks like? You've got a grid, you've got title page. Okay, one of the first things that's going to help you a lot, if you go up to window and then workspace, you're going to want to go to printing and proofing. You're going to get a whole bunch more options. It's going to expand, and that's going to be the majority of the controls we're going to be showing here. All right.
Every single time you.
Pretty much, there's a way I think you can make it as a default, but I did that so long ago, I don't remember how. Another thing you can do is under view, you can do show rulers. Rulers are going to be very helpful when you start having to scale drawings, because that's important. So show and hide rulers are up there. You also have grid and guides under the view tab. So if you want this document grid on or off, some people like it to help, some people don't. All right, so I'm just gonna show you first how to fill it out. To put things in here, you're gonna go to File, Place. It's not insert, it's File, Place.
Also Control/Command D.
Yeah. Let's see, what do I want to put in here? We'll put my duplex project in here. So you have to go, you have to have everything in your computer under a specific folder, because there's something called links, and we'll get to that under the future, but you have to know where your file is coming from.
I guess with that, like, have a project folder. So you guys are working on project 1A/1B, have that, and know that your images will always kind of live in there. And if you move them, it's going to be a little bit tricky having them linked to the document down the line. So just kind of making sure you're satisfied with where, like if you need to do a little file organization before you start the document, do that, but know that it's kind of just.
It's going to make it so much easier when you have to save it and then send it to people. So once you're in File, Place, you're going to get the window open up. You can double click on the image that you want. This, and you're just going to place it in there. So there are two kind of frames on how InDesign does its images. The first one is the size of the frame. So you can make that the whole page, you can make it just a little window, but as you see, the size of the actual image does not change when you adjust that frame. To adjust that frame, you have to double click on it, and then you can actually like manipulate the size of the image. So in order to do it in a way where it doesn't get warped, you should be holding down the Shift key. Because if you do it in a way that, let me make this bigger so you can see what's actually happening. If I just like move this down, it squishes the whole image. So you want to be holding the Shift key when you do that. Another thing that's super helpful, if you hit Control and Shift at the same time, it will scale both frames. So yes.
Even when you're just like doing like regular pictures, like not, I don't know, always Control Shift is a good way to go. It's getting distorted.
Because in most times you will be kind of dropping your image in and it won't be to the right scale, especially if it's just like a scanned image. And it's always best to kind of go in there and adjust it to make it look right on the page.
Yeah. And say you did want to put this to scale, these rulers on the side are very helpful. To use them and to use guides, you just hold down on the ruler and pull it down. So say I wanted to make sure that this was, what's a quarter of 10? 2? 2. Okay. Say I wanted to make this a quarter scale. This is a 10-foot ceiling. We're gonna go, let me put this at 6 actually. Move the image to the top of the ceilings at 6, bring another guide down to 10.5, and then you can do in the second frame, make it large enough so that, or I have to adjust this one too, and you'll make it large enough so that it will get into that 2.5 inch frame so that your thing's in scale. but it'll be more complicated with you. It'll be more complicated with this. I promise it's more simple with the fruit and vegetables because obviously those scales are a lot easier.
I don't think there's an expectation of it to be printed to scale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for now, I just talk about like usually like to keep it basic for now, like with the 0, like usually it's 11 by 17, which is what you are doing. So you can say if you want it from like 4 inches, you can just use like that as like a basic.
Mhm.
No, it's not technical.
Yeah. Wanna go through?
Yeah, they're like, okay.
They are required to use this template that you say.
So should I just show them like a file new or?
Just go into the master pages right there and kind of like go. run
Okay.
through.
So on the right side, you should see a pages center like tab. It has a bunch of white rectangles. It's on the top right. You see that? Yes, okay. So if you see on here, you can edit all the page sizes. There's a tabloid, which is the usual 11 by 17. You have letter, you have legal. And you can also go to custom ones here and you can name that and save it as a preset. So if you need a 24 by 36 or you want to do like one of the giant boards that you see people hang up, you could get one there. To add a page, you're going to hit the little square with the rectangle right next to it. It's important that they're going to show up like as 2 pages because it's going to print like a book. So having 2 pages together is called a spread. Having just a page by itself is just a page. And you can keep adding pages as many times as you want. They are going to show up in the format that you set the master. So like my master is on tabloid, so they're all going to be tabloid pages. To delete a page, you just have it highlighted and there's a delete button right next to it. Okay. In terms of text, is that a text box?
Those are in the master pages.
Oh,
A lot of people are very confused on this, so maybe something good to spend on.
Well, yeah. Do you want me to hop in real quick? And
yeah.
I think Grace, you know about it. Because it is a confusing template.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get a template, they'll likely be master pages. Okay. And so I'm just going to this of pages tab. This under the gray bar is your actual kind of document, but then up here are these master pages. So think of these kind of as a template in themselves. And so what you do is when you go into them is when you're able to actually edit things. So if I were to go down here, I guess I have to override this. Let's see.
Yeah, I think you do have to.
Okay. So there's also a thing with these master pages that they're kind of set in stone, and you usually would have to go in, right click, and do override all parent items.
Sometimes I think the template makes it harder than that way.
This one looks like it is.
They never gave us templates, so I never learned how to use this. No, I'm like, I'm amazed right now.
I remember Grace helping me with.
I taught myself InDesign in like a fucking sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. This is something that I remember from when I was a freshman is that they locked only this little thing at the bottom. I don't know why.
Oh, you can fix that
That's
in the
also-
A master.
It was in the A master.
Because I can.
Oh, in
you
the
want me
A
to
master.
briefly
Okay,
say
okay, okay. There we go. Okay, so
Okay,
so we're going into the master page themselves. I'm gonna go in and fill it out as is.
Everyone see that in the corner on the page?
So see that I'm in this portion right here in the A master. That's where I'm able to edit and fill in my information. If I'm going to go down to the A master within the actual document, it'll update. If I add another A master page, it will be the same. So anything that you add in the master page, it will automatically go into the actual document itself, which is super useful because something like this, your little kind of name tag at the bottom needs to be on every single page. So just doing it once in the beginning, it'll be able to copy down. So I ended it on the left A master just now, right here. I'm gonna go to the right one and do the same. And answer whatever standard information.
Oh, I.
If it's, I have to. So that makes.
No, really, solid.
I think that's more of like a, what would you say about that? I know it's Photoshop, but like, can they do that in here? a little bit?
Was everyone able to make those changes in their document?
Yeah, that's more like. I think it's something.
Okay, so once you kind of make those changes in there, you'll notice that you'll try to get into, this is our actual page document right here. I would try to get into something, or even on the B side page, I'll try to access this and it won't work. That's because all of these pages need to be overridden. So again, you go in, right click it and override all master page items. And you'll see it kind of blink a little bit right here. And now you're able to edit that text. And so what I would do is click this, hold shift and click all of these and just override them all at once. Now it makes that document editable. And so if I were to go back to this A master and say I were to change it again to whatever, I'll look and it just changed again to gibberish. So essentially, if like you made a mistake with that, or if you're wanting to add something after you started the document, you can always go back to these master page items and it will override it. I can hand it back to you if you want, or I can keep going. Oh, sure.
Yeah, Emily, maybe you want to talk about like adding
I'm gonna
signatures
use
more,
Google
I know it's
Mhm.
big thing.
Okay.
Confusion.
Okay, I guess we'll skip that one.
Why is it 100 pages?
I don't know. I think I might have messed it up when I was adding and removing pages.
Oh, okay.
But we'll just move on.
So this is gonna be a.
Maybe I'll just wait.
I know it still works if like no.
Needs help.
They were fine. I was just edit them a little in Photoshop, but I don't.
We can do a little tutorial afterwards.
Yeah.
Where's the best place to save something?
Like when I like when it sounds like how big do I make this? How big do I put on? Like I'm trying to edit. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how I said it. I like it was not it over.
Mhm.
You go to A master.
So
Yeah,
I was
these
just
are
like,
A master.
I put my sketches
Yeah.
here.
Do you want to see an example? I have
Yeah,
like a
let's run through an
printed
example.
out.
That was really
Yeah.
Hold on.
I think a good rule of thumb also is like
right
not
back,
being afraid.
'cause I have
of
one that's
white space,
actually
like white space. It's really good to like let your document, like your page breathe and have like that image be the center focus and not override the pages.
Is there really have a whole folder?
Yes.
I have a folder of my-
Mhm.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting like I don't know how big to make it like.
Yeah, it's just kind of up to your judgment.
Network,
Okay, yeah.
client.
Does anyone have any direct questions? Lauren, you can.
Wait, where is there? Okay, is everyone kind of up to the same speed at this point? Almost.
I'm trying to
He
like
needs to
that's
save it, so I'm trying to tell him to save it to his folder.
I'm going to just pull it up while she's.
Okay.
Oh, there you are. I like went to the bathroom, so I was gonna go
Yeah,
take
I
the
was
lead.
like,
No, I was getting the,
Perfect.
I have it printed out.
That's great.
Okay, so I think here, do you have a USB drive?
Okay. Wait, did everyone even pay attention when you were showing your project from before?
I don't think so.
Pull that up again.
That was gonna be, yeah.
Am I still showing? So I did this project in 2020 when there was COVID, so mine looks a lot different than what you were going to have to do. But this was basically the whole project, and it's just drawings, very minimal text except for the first 2 slides. You just want to introduce the project. They basically got a rundown of everything about it when you presented. A lot of the professors just want to see the drawings and labels.
I'm not sure if they do need like some small captions just because they did like the gallery wall.
Well, maybe.
But then a lot of times they say like small captions for you, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess that also depends on the professor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it can't be a general like.
Mm-hmm.
Can I screen share quickly, because this is,
Yeah.
I'll show this one since it's kind of similar to what their document is.
Okay, good. Did it show up?
I reviewed it.
Would you do it?
What the heck is this? Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is another example of the same project when I was a freshman. There's like the 2 options of kind of letting your work stand on its own. And then there's the other option of having the kind of like sidebar right here of text, which is also what you have here. And so it really depends on like the preference of the professor, but even if you can get in there and write a short blurb on each page, and that's pretty beneficial, I think. I probably wrote too damn much, but otherwise it's good to kind of explain your project, because I mean, of course you want your drawings to speak for themselves, but it's always ideal to kind of give that background when you're not there to like support your project verbally. And so just kind of think about like what you guys talked about when you presented on Monday, and what are some key factors, concepts, and stuff that you want to mention that would be good to know.
All right.
Do you know that, Grace? For the MacBooks, when it says removable disk, does that mean the USB drive?
Yeah, that's.
Mine just says Lexar, but
Yeah, because like for some reason, his did that too. It doesn't say the name of it. It just says like he named it.
it might be an rCloud thing that like it doesn't read it.
I'm pretty sure that's what. There's no other removable. You know what I
I
mean?
don't have
So
mine.
yeah.
What's the best, like, to see?
What should I do now? Should I just like put in like floor plans or
Yeah, honestly.
like
Like
I'll-
just
I
like let's
can-
just like
I
make a
can
big page, like
show
go
them how
in,
to
like,
scale
title
it
the
better.
page,
Yeah.
and then like,
Yeah, that's.
Okay, so say on this page, you wanted to have like your abstraction drawing. So you're looking for they have to do 4, 6. Okay, with 6. Okay. So you're looking for 4, 6. What do I have 6 of in here?
or even just like repeat the same image.
Yeah,
like, just,
probably.
like, for the sake
Okay.
of-
Okay, so file place again is how you put an image.
I always hate when they go so large.
Oh, show the option of like going in and dragging it. So it doesn't pop up in that big size.
What do you mean?
Like Control Z and then do the paste again and like hold the mouse down as you're doing it. Or just take your finger off control while you're doing it. And then you should. Is it doing that? You should be able to like drag
that might
it
be
in.
just a Mac thing.
You can't like drag it to the size that you
Not
want.
from what I know.
Wait,
From
really?
what?
Like just dragging an image to your preferred size versus just plopping it in.
I don't think it's.
I think that's just a Mac thing.
Wait. That's what I mean. So Command D.
I believe you, but I think it's just a Mac.
So you like, yeah, you just
Oh,
down.
okay.
and then you drag it and then it just pops it in.
Oh. Someone told me how to do that
Wait, I
either.
don't even. Yeah, I think you should go over that, Grace, a little better, because that would be helpful for me.
There you go.
Gotta love the Zoom.
Yeah. So.
I'll edit. There's a way to edit these recordings well, right? No.
We'll figure that out. The trick to think is no one's listening.
Yeah. Okay. It kind of broke off.
I know, it's tough.
I feel like once we get through this page, that's basically,
That's it.
yeah.
And then just do like a quick, I can even Lauren to do like a quick Photoshop.
Yeah,
And then we.
I'm not that good at Photoshop, but
I
can do that. yeah, true.
the only thing I really do in Photoshop is clone tool and filter, so.
Really, I love the healing brush.
Yeah. I used to
I
struggle
love
with
that. I don't know
I'm
why.
I'm more of an illustrator girly, if
I'm
I'm
definitely,
honest.
definitely an Illustrator girl.
Lorena always talks about Illustrator.
Yeah, we use Illustrator so much. This summer I spent the entire time using Illustrator.
All right. Is everyone ready if we move on? Nice. Are you guys good to move on?
Kind of bring it back together.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to run through just like a practice of filling out a page. Just like some standard graphic things. It's best to keep the titles fully in caps lock, so as is right now, and then as you'll notice, all of this text here is justified essentially, so it's using, this is what you standard, like you would see like if you're in Google Docs or something, the text will normally kind of format in this way, but if you justify it like this, it kind of keeps this this, I don't know, proper border, so it just kind of looks nice next to the work that you're doing. And then all of this text here is just placeholder text, and then you can just fill it in on your own. If you're ever like, if you delete it and you like just want to put placeholder text just to see what the page looks like, you can go into type and then fill with placeholder text. And I do that if I'm like making a template myself, or if I'm just kind of like just testing to see how the page would look. But say we're doing that, and then we're going to add in an image for itself. You're going to do Command D or Control D, and then it'll open up what you're doing on your computer. He's the sniper, that's the only person. That's totally fine. And you already know how to do it for the most part.
I can hear the tutorial Tyrone.
Okay, so this is super exciting. Whatever, we're gonna use something random. So when there's two options when you drop in an image, you can just click and then it'll just zoom to just like a massive size. I don't really like doing that one. Instead, huh? Yeah. Instead, the option is clicking and holding down on your mouse or your keypad and then dragging while you're still holding, and then you can scale it to the size. That is the best way to do it, because if you're making it huge, you have to scale it like the entire time. So you do that, and then say it's like, oh, this isn't perfect. Again, as Emily said,
Control Shift.
I've never done that before.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Really, it doesn't work. Control Shift.
Well, it's a PC thing. Oh, there you go.
Okay. Anyway.
So
I know there was some issue where.
maybe
like
there's
1 terabyte
how to
True.
put in other images that for
True.
Yeah.
1 terabyte USB.
Okay.
What do you
Wait, what's your
Yeah.
source?
Oh, that's terrible. People buy a fancy.
Just take it away, Grace.
Yeah. Two.
Just go.
Just like all.
I would just get my mouse.
Should I do 2 separate boxes?
Yeah, it's so good to have. It's not
If you just really just the USB drive to the bookstore.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I'll just go get mine.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, but how do I put it on the app? Just trying to put like links files on.
Oh,
Sorry,
yes.
I can't touch it.
This is this one, but I don't see files.
I don't think it will change the quality, honestly, as long as like, no, I think it should be fine. Sometimes like if you're like saving a JPEG after a JPEG and it like keeps like compressing, then yeah, it'll be like imperfect, but I think like for the meantime, especially like if you're having issues accessing stuff in that sidebar, I think it's totally fine to do that. And if there's any imperfections, like we can go over in Photoshop how to like sharpen an image and make it look a little bit more crisp.
That would be done in Acrobat.
What do you mean, like easy, like?
No, they're gonna want it as, it'd be better for you to put all of your scans in an InDesign doc like this,
No,
or
you-
to just
you
make,
just mean for like your, like just for your own personal like organization?
Yeah.
oh,
I think just like, I think having them separate maybe, just so you
Yeah.
can see their own titles. We can look at, so it's kind of something like if you're doing a PDF or like an Illustrator file, you always have to click show import option. So that's something that, say for this, I have 2 different work pages. And so you're able to choose one or the other. So that's if like you were to have a whole PDF document of like 10 pages, then you could go in here and be like, I want to import just this page.
Oh,
And
did
then
you see
import
a
it.
PDF where it's like one giant PDF?
Like, yeah.
Separate PDF? Oh.
But that, like, that's okay for now, but I just feel like,
I would, like, in the future, like, yes, but I'm sure it needs to be like separate things. Or even.
and just, yeah, just for your own personal organization and like figuring out what's a convenient name convention, just so you just kind of go in there and find everything.
I know it's annoying, the plotter like asks you like if you want to do one giant PDF, and I think a lot of people do that not knowing like, or one of them does that, not knowing.
Which plotter does that?
And then.
Which one?
I can access the
The flatbed?
Oh, the flatbed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the new one? The new plotter?
I've never used that one, so I guess it makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's the new one, because I think and people like, which is not bad, but kind of like for this. It's confusing, but
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna run through just the process of kind of like copying images or putting multiple images on one spread.
We're gonna do 6, so it's like a rundown of all your abstractions.
Are we all good just to like watch the?
And then I just pick
Wanna
like
come
this
back?
folder that says project.
Thing makes frames. Make 6 frames.
Oh yeah, make 6 frames,
Yes.
okay.
So what Grace is doing right now is on the bottom left,
Yeah.
the toolbar over there should be a rectangle icon. You want the one with the, yeah,
I mean, I don't really, it doesn't really matter. I guess
Yeah.
you can use this one too. I just feel like this one has like a, does this one have a border?
No.
Anyway, so you can use either of these icons right here. The one with the X through we'll use right now, but it basically shows, it makes a frame of where you can place your images. So I'm gonna put this here and I'm gonna copy it 3 more times. To do so, I'm going to click on this and hold Option at the same time. If you have a PC, it's gonna be you're holding Alt key, and I'm gonna hold Shift as well. That helps you move in a orthogonal way. So like just horizontally or vertically in a perfect way. If I were to let go of that, it would go anywhere. So Option Shift key or Alt and Shift key, and I'm gonna move this right over here. And I'm gonna select both of them again, Option and Shift, and I'm gonna, let's see, I'll put this right down at the bottom. Right there. So these are essentially frames for you to, so like kind of answering your question of like what you want to like organize your page to look like. This is sometimes helpful just to see like how things can line up so that they're kind of perfectly fitting in a box and then repeated, especially if you have multiple images.
and that way you'll also have the same size image several times.
So now I'm going to click on the frame and you can see that these kind of dots are highlighted so you know it's selected. I'm going to do Command or Control D. I'm going to choose something. Press OK, and then it's immediately going to pop into the frame itself.
What control again?
Just for placing.
Where's the frame again? How'd you get the frame in there?
It's this guy right here. And then you just,
Oh, this one right here?
yeah, and then you just click once and then drag it.
Oh.
Yeah. And then, so I know we looked at before
Oh.
changing the scale of an image. You're gonna double click again, and you know, once you see this faint
Orange, brown.
orange, brown, yellow color, then you know you're able to kind of move this thing around and
Within-
change the scale of it within the frame. So it's like I'm moving this and it's automatically cropping it within the frame, which is super nice. It just kind of holds everything together and contains the page. I'm gonna scale it down a little bit by dragging this. Now, if I were to do this, it would lose its scale itself, its proportions. I'm gonna hold Shift at the same time. And I'm going to center it like this. Another thing that I've kind of found to be useful is the align tool or the align window, I guess. So like if you're taking notes or just want to know of this, let's see if I can find it. So you're gonna go to Object and Layout underneath the Window tab, and you're gonna go over and click Align. Anytime you have one of these windows, I know which ones kind of work for me when I'm creating an InDesign file, what's useful, drag it over, and once you see this blue thing, it kind of locks in place. So what I can do with that is say you have like these 2 images, right, or these 2 frames. and you want them to be aligned with one another without kind of having too much work, you highlight both of them, and you can choose this little icon here. You can see it's trying to align on the midpoint, and they align to one another. That's also good if you're just doing a ton of things at once. Everything can be aligned. There's a ton of other good functions that you'll figure out in here. Centering it, aligning it to one edge. You can even distribute spacing. So if I were to do a bunch of icons next to one another.
Grace, maybe like say again where a line, you would find a line.
Oh, yeah,
I
sure.
don't know if it's-
Under window, it shouldn't be, it's usually not on like the software itself or on like the main tab. I don't know, do PCs have that?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
I've done
If
it
you're gonna go
before.
under window, you're gonna go to object and layout and then align. And it automatically opens up this little tab here. And it kind of exists on its own. You just pop it to the side.
Yeah, do you want
Do you want to go
also,
over fonts and
like,
types?
keeping a tab like instead of temporary? To keep it motion?
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
might have been-
That's okay.
Do you want to do fonts
Yeah.
and type sizes?
So I'm gonna go into doing some captions and looking at what the type should look like. So this document is useful because obviously it already has this whole text box here, but you're gonna need to know how to make a text box again. It's usually nice if you have a lot of images on, like a lot of different images on the spread to title them or just get like a short little caption. So that's what the type tool here is for. Again, it's that same situation where you're clicking once and you have to hold down and drag at the same time. And so I'm gonna start in here. And I think they used Arial as their font. I would use, if you're wanting to like, Helvetica.
Oh,
It depends. You can really like play around with fonts. I don't usually, I've kind of like strayed away from like the traditional. But I think for starting off, they have Arial in here. You can use Helvetica because it's graphic design's favorite. You type in the font up here.
I'm a Futura girl.
Oh, wow.
Futura.
So if everyone's workspace looks like this, you should have the option to change your font up here. So I'm in this text box. The font options are up here. I'm gonna do Helvetica and change it to oblique, which is essentially their italics. And then they have this little option right here, which is, again, I should do the justification tool. It shows you how to align however you want. If you're doing a caption, most likely it should be centered. So I'm gonna type in, this is the caption of the image. And so that's that. Another useful thing when you're using its own text box is you can go to this corner bar here and double click, and it'll automatically crop the text box to have like right hugging around the text. I just find that useful because the page might get a little too cluttered if you have just a lot of text boxes. So I'm going to move this over, and for whatever reason, this document doesn't have.
Show them how to put the grids.
Yeah, I think the grids can be taken off or on. It's
This
I
grid?
Like the
Or like
guide, the
the
snap to
guide, yeah.
guide.
It's
That's
under
what I was trying to say.
grid,
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
weird. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, guide the grid.
Oh, it says they're on for you.
Oh.
No, we're trying to get the snaps,
Like,
Sarah, not the
yeah.
grid,
Let me just.
so that it will snap to the center. That's
It
what we're
usually-
trying to figure
It
out.
does in my own documents. I don't know why it's doing this.
I feel like there's the template little, there was something earlier that I was using the template, it's just like weird.
I do not like this.
I don't either.
I know that options. Okay, so
So then,
best option is to select both of these images and
And
go
align
back to the
center.
align tool
No, I think
and align them center. And so now you can see the option of aligning it either of these ways. But align center is best for this, and I'm gonna do that. To go in, I think for whatever reason, the automatic color of this was gray. You can see this little text box up here, and it shows the different colors that you can use. Black is always the go-to. Registration is kind of a slightly off shade of black. I always go to black, and that's that. I think standard, like you should be using size 12 fonts. Maybe you can go down to size 10 for a caption. But I mean, if you look at it like this, it's already getting kind of small. So I think size 10 or size 10 to 12 for body / captions. And then I think 16 to 18 is good for a title, just depending on how it looks.
I believe the text I have in that printout is 14, if I remember.
Okay.
It might be 12.
Again, it's kind of just getting a feel for what looks good visually, and I think you guys will develop an understanding of that very quickly, of what works and what doesn't. If you ever need like advice, you can always reach out to the mentors, and we'd be happy to kind of run through your draft documents. Good for now.
Exporting. Exporting.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how are things going in the back? You guys are good with just
I think that.
not good?
As good as for now.
As good as we can
As
be.
good as
Okay,
we're getting tonight.
that's good, because we're around.
No,
so if
this
you
was
need
very
us.
helpful, because I did not know how to.
Yeah, so I would just like go over the exporting, and then if anyone needs to leave, they can, you can just do a quick Photoshop.
Yep, sounds good. So we go up to file here, and well, first of all, there's the save as and save, which you should be doing. Just quickly to go through the name convention. I think you guys should already have been made aware of this, but they're pretty particular in this program for how you name your files, just for organization purposes. But it'd be ARC113 _ whatever section you are, so 01 _ 22 FA for fall _ last name _ first name, and then you
I
would
think
save.
it's,
Is there another?
It's
underscore.
initial.
Oh, yeah, one of my professors makes us do the first name.
yeah.
Underscore project
And,
one underscore
It's
Yeah, it's like one,
If-
it's like A1A.
A1. Okay. So if, as long as you know that, just make sure you just save the document as that, and then you won't have any issues. It's just like, what?
I wrote mine down.
Soon you'll memorize it, but clearly I haven't, so.
I never did
Haven't either.
the underscore D.
If you guys could all pay attention to the board, this is really important. Your professors are gonna ask to repackage your files.
Are they packaging for this week or not?
So any professors actually not, like I wrote down.
I think it's just good to know.
Okay. All right, so first I'll run through exporting, and then I'll go through packaging. Packaging is like, think about that as like the overall big deal. Takes up a lot of storage, takes a little bit longer. Exporting, you're gonna be doing that for every single project. So you're gonna go to export. You're going to go to the usual title right here, ARC, whatever. I'm just gonna do that, whatever. And it should just be Adobe PDF. There's no need for it to be the interactive version, because I don't think you'll be using that. And then you're going to just save it. And then right here, it'll give you some options. I don't think there's any need to change it. For whatever reason, if it's under like range and it has like select numbers, like you can just export pages 1 through 3 if you want. Good to know for like personal use, but for all of your projects that you're submitting, it should be under all. And then you export it. And if there's any issues, it would tell you. It would also tell you right here on the pre-flight panel. Sometimes there's an error if an image is cropped or like you cut off text accidentally, it'll show you exactly where to look. And so that brought it right over to hopefully. Maybe this was a mistake. I don't know where I put it. Right here. ARC. Okay, yeah,
I know like the max look different than also how
that's true. Yeah.
a piece.
But is it actually?
Yeah, that's
Okay. It's always good to just run through and make sure things look right on your computer. I've definitely made the mistake. I know people do this all the time where like, for whatever reason, something like came out super blurry when you export it, you just have to double check before you submit it and make sure things are okay. And if images aren't linked, I know we didn't really get to talk about that today, but if images aren't linked, then it would become an issue.
Yeah.
It's not like specific. Then you're gonna just have to be like, wait, where did the file go? It's for the desktop and it's gonna create.
Sure. Wait, do I have a second to run through that? Can I run through that for them real quick? Okay. So I'm going to just make a random thing. So for example, I'm going to go into my desktop and place in this item. You see these little icons right here, that's golden. It needs to be linked. You can also go into links right here and it'll show you exactly where these images are. So if I were to go to my desktop, essentially, and move this to a different folder. So kind of think of like, you have all of your stuff saved in one folder. Say you were reorganizing for whatever reason and you moved it somewhere else. You go back to your InDesign file and suddenly it's missing. And you can't really see because I just took a random screenshot and put it in there. But if it's an actual scan of yours, it would be super pixelated and it wouldn't read as it should. You want to go in here or right here and you can double click it. And I remember I put it into my InDesign workshop folder. So I'm going to go in and I put that screenshot right here and you're going to kind of retrieve it. Say you moved a mass group of these items. So say I had like all of these scans and I moved them all into a new folder. If you retrieve or like relocate one of them, all of them are going to update. So that's a great thing. You're not going to be spending a lot of time on that, but it's just kind of like the process of file organization. So I'm just found it and then now it's relinked. No, it's good.
Yeah.
Occasionally, if you're, say you're using an Adobe InDesign, or excuse me, Illustrator or Photoshop file, and you put it into the document and then had since gone back to Photoshop or Illustrator and changed it, then saved it, the file is now updated and it's changed. It's going to show this little triangle, yellow triangle icon as like a warning. And you just have to go in, double click it, and then it'll immediately update. You don't have to like go and like retrieve the file. It knows what the file is. It just wants to make sure that you want to update it. But that's just kind of something you have to make sure that all of your documents are linked before you export, or else it's just going to come out in a pretty poor quality. If you have any issues with that down the line for Saturday submission, just let us know. And then lastly, we're going to go over to the package option. Some of your professors might need it. Do you guys know if anyone's mentioned it to you guys? Okay. Down the line, especially at the end of the semester, you'll be packaging your documents. It's a way to put everything in one place, including the actual links to the images. InDesign just has like this whole network of things and it's just very meticulous. I don't know how, but you're going to package it. If there's any actual errors that would show up here, for whatever reason, it shows this, that there's none missing. So that's perfectly fine. You're going to package it. Usually it should be saved beforehand. And again, you're going to do the standard file naming convention. I'm just going to do that for now. Save it. And back to this. You're going to make sure that all of these are kind of selected, especially having the linked graphics. I don't think this is necessary, but making sure that it's going to include a PDF and link all of the fonts and the graphics. So it's essential. Package it. And now it just made a package. So that took 2 seconds because there was nothing in that document. But if it's like a complete document or your portfolio from the entire semester, it's going to take like 2 minutes to do. So I'm going to go, it automatically made this folder. Obviously, I just named it this to be brief, but you see, this is the title. I don't know what, no one ever uses this, the IDML. This is the actual InDesign file. It's kind of made a copy for it in the package version. It also made a PDF in the package folder. And then it shows you, it links the document fonts and it links the images that you have in there. So it's just like a super like complex network of all of your stuff in one place that your professors will want to have, because if they want to touch base and look at your work down the line, it's all right there.
This is also super important for when you do group work and you have to share and
Yeah,
split an
very true.
InDesign file. So that way, if you send them the whole package, they're not going to have to run into issues with links and fonts, and you can exchange that information easily, because it's not like Google Drive where you can work on it simultaneously, but you will be doing group projects in which you need to make InDesign presentations.
Just not realizing how slow that screen is.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that kind of runs